This machine is the heart of our craziest LEGO project yet, because today we're finally tackling the volcano, complete with an eruption. You can probably guess what we're starting with, since the entire thing is going to be an island. Let's start off with the water surface. First of all, we've prepped the foundation so the transition blends smoothly into the water, and then we've already laid down the first few thousand trans light blue tiles. The transition once again is made by using cut plates, so we have darker, wetter sand layer at the bottom, followed by a lighter sand tone. Then we added some greenery because for the lower part of this island, it's going to resemble a jungle since we're somewhere in the Caribbean. Once we got to this stage of the build, we had to figure out how to install the fog machine. The initial idea was to put it somewhere inside the volcano, but thankfully we decided against and completely rethought the entire concept. Here's now our new solution. We installed a drainage pipe system that I got from a hardware store that fits perfectly inside these arches, as you can see. And right now it's still a bit wobbly, but once we add the entire support structure and it's in place, then it's going to stabilize itself. That's also important since there will be quite a lot of pressure as soon as we hook up the fog machine to the entire pipe layout. As for the rocks, we didn't go completely overboard regarding the building techniques, but in this case this was in fact intentional to avoid any cracks where fog might escape at random spots from the volcano. We've then mapped out the future lava flows, which we've now programmed using DMX LED lights. Martin did an awesome job once again with all the lighting. Above that, we've now decided to use the net building technique, because that was the perfect opportunity to get this little space underneath the brick-built lava flow. Originally, we've planned to fold up the nets backwards to keep it LEGO legal in some sort, but let's be real, nobody wants to deal with that, and therefore we simply decided to cut off the axis, which allowed us now to add these customized flexible lava flows right on top of the LED strips. And with that being done, I'd say let's fire up the LED strip and just take a look at how great it looks having the light refract through the 3 different layers of translucent bricks. You can really feel the lava making its way down the slope if you stand in front of the MOC. But I tell you, just wait for the fog as soon as we add that as well. Before we move on to the fog machine and the eruptions though, we need to add some vegetation and storytelling. The vegetation is done in the same style as on the other island to maintain consistency, and of course, jungle palms are a must. Since we are somewhere in the Caribbean, they really bring the scene to life. However, the trees are super unstable and keep falling over during the build, something I've dealt with on all the other palm trees as well we've added so far. And I tell you, I'm honestly really tempted to just glue them together and have that thing done. Here's the first look at the overgrown island, but of course the storytelling is still missing, so let's start on the right side of the island, where some indigenous people are hanging out by a cozy campfire, completely unaware of the impending volcanic eruption. In the nearby bay, there are other islanders paddling in a canoe. We've got monkeys stealing bananas, food hanging up to dry, and seagulls also trying to steal that food. Simply lots of fun little details and storytelling. We've built another of these little nostalgic statues you could find back in the days in the old LEGO pirate sets. Just couldn't leave that out. Of course, there's plenty of other action happening as well on the other side of the island, like these 2 guys trying to catch a seagull. 2 treasure hunters, also completely unaware of the danger they are in. We've also got a stranded pirate who's been reduced to bones, with seagulls currently picking at his skeleton. 1 islander even trying to catch one of the seagulls with a net, so the island is packed with action. We didn't want to overload the scene, however, so the last one for now is these sea turtles currently hatching right at the beach. Now onto the mechanism. On the backside of the volcano we've prepared this hole, you could also see earlier, for attaching the pipe, which then transports the fog. Of course, this is just a prototype for now, and we'll make it a bit more professional later on, but the fog machine now fills up this box with fog, and from there we can now control the amount of fog that enters the volcano. As the eruption now starts, first of all, only the lava flow is visible at the top of the volcano. We made it bright enough so you can actually see it during the day. The real highlight though is, of course, the nighttime eruption. Just wait a second for that. And now, when the eruption happens, it could look something like this, maybe even with sound effects. We still need to decide how much sound we actually want to add to the experience, because at the end of the day it's just noise, but I still think it could add something to the overall vibe of the volcanic eruption. I'll also show you the natural noise level the whole setup makes in just a second with all the equipment running, the fog machine, fan and so on. It's actually already quite loud. We'll also try a bigger test of the eruption in just a second, but first of all in the close-up you can see that right here. The net building technique I mentioned earlier has such an awesome effect when the fog gets pressed underneath the nets and then flows out through the lava, which is something we didn't plan but turned out even better than we initially expected. Here you can now see why it's actually so important to control the amount of fog for the volcanic eruption so it looks natural. Less fog simply works much better because blasting it full on out doesn't look quite right. The lower fog setting worked much better. Another problem with simply blasting it all out is that after 20 seconds the entire room fills up with so much fog you can't see anything else, although I have to say that the close-up looks like something straight out of Mordor, which is super cool. The only problem is, while it looks great, the rest of the Lego room has completely disappeared behind thick layers of smoke. After a few eruptions, it's a total mess. I think by this point we had 5 or 6 eruptions already behind us, so it makes sense that at some point it starts getting out of hand. What I haven't shown you yet is how it looks at night, and therefore we try to set up a continuous mode with just a light cloud of fog. This could now actually run for 10 minutes, maybe even half an hour, because the small amount of fog dissipates a few seconds after leaving the volcano, but still the lights make it look as if there's quite a lot actually coming out. So this is probably the best solution for a continuous volcanic eruption. The bigger eruptions, of course, still look so much more impressive, and the way the fog glows red under the lights, I don't know, it's probably one of my favorite MOCs we've built so far, simply because of the fog and the lights for the lava flow we've added. This is what the volcano looks like disassembled into the different modules. That's important because in future it's gonna be combined with the rest of the Pirate MOC to make an even larger, tripled in size, over the top super MOC. Can't wait for that. We have different more islands planned, a city, a harbor and so on. You can definitely look forward to that. But just to give you an idea of what went into planning the volcano. These were the very first experiments we had running with this cardboard box. We had fog coming out, then we bought this bigger plastic box, tried to hook up a fan to that in order to regulate the flow of the fog, because we obviously knew that too much fog doesn't work for a continuous volcanic eruption, and therefore we had the entire mechanism planned out before we even started building, and after over 3 months of work we eventually came to this finished volcano. And now something completely different towards the end of the video. Last video we built the sawmill, and some of you guys wanted me to make it an ideas project. I've done exactly that. So far we had 3,000 supporters, mainly from the German channel of course. We would need 10,000 supporters in order to have LEGO take it into consideration for a potential LEGO set. So in case you want to support it, first link in the video description. Also be sure to follow Rudy and Willy on Instagram, my 2 friends who helped me build the volcano as well as the pirate MOC. And with that being said, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again in the next one.